One ruler had proclaimed himself master of all Britain. 5 armies had marched to take that claim apart. On a blood-soaked stretch of northern moorland, its exact location swallowed by the passing centuries, though men called it Brunanburh. The future of England, as a unified nation, balanced on the edge of a blade. A cold autumn fog settled over the hills like a gray shroud. The year was 937. On one side of the open ground stood the English. 20,000 warriors, drawn from every region of a realm that had never before been truly won. Their king was approaching 40, yet his name alone unsettled distant thrones. He was Æthelstan, king of the English, lord of Britain, grandson of Alfred the Great. Across the field, the opposing banners told a different story entirely. The Norse raven, Scotland's lion, and the ancient emblems of Strathclyde announced a coalition forged from shared outrage. Dublin Vikings, Scottish warriors from Alba, and Britons from the old northern kingdoms had come together for a single purpose: to shatter English power before it consumed them all. Their numbers matched the English. Their hunger for vengeance exceeded it. This was no border skirmish between quarreling lords. It was a direct collision between two incompatible visions for what Britain should be. Only one of those visions would survive the day. To understand why 5 armies had assembled on that field, you need to understand what Athelstan had done in the decade before. For centuries, the island had been a fragmented mosaic of rival kingdoms: Anglo-Saxons in the south, Vikings in the Danelaw, Scots in Alba, Britons in Wales and Strathclyde. No single king controlled more than a portion of the whole. Then Athelstan took his throne in 924 and changed the calculation entirely. He absorbed Mercia, conquered Northumbria, drove the Norse across the Irish Sea, and compelled the Welsh princes to submit. By 927, he ruled from the English Channel to the Scottish border, the first man to do so since the Romans had sailed south. Power on that scale manufactures enemies, and Æthelstan, within a single decade, had made them in abundance. 3 kings surveyed Athelstan's growing realm, and each reached the same private conclusion: he had to be stopped before stopping him became impossible. Constantine II of Scotland was the eldest and most battle-worn of the 3. Decades of war against the Norse had given him a soldier's instinct for identifying threats early. He had already knelt before Æthelstan at Emont Bridge, forced through a submission ceremony that left him publicly compliant and privately furious. A king who demanded that kind of humiliation had not yet finished expanding. Across the Irish Sea, Olaf Guthfrithson nursed a grievance that was just as sharp and far more personal. The young king of Dublin had watched Æthelstan dismantle every Viking foothold in Britain, one by one. York had fallen. Danelaw had submitted. For Olaf, this was not merely a political problem. It was an existential one. A strong, unified England left no room for Viking kings. In Strathclyde, King Owain read the same grim picture. The English held Northumbria to the east and dominated Wales to the south. Strathclyde was a Celtic island in an English sea. In 937, the 3 rulers formed their pact. Constantine would march south with his hardened Scottish warriors. Olaf would cross from Ireland with his Dublin Vikings. Owain would contribute his Britons. Together they would outnumber Athelstan and divide his kingdom between them. It was the largest coalition ever assembled against England. Athelstan received word of the invasion that summer and did not hesitate. He called his banners. From Wessex and Mercia, from East Anglia and recently conquered Northumbria, warriors answered, men who had once been enemies, now marching under a single standard. He rode north with his younger brother Edmund beside him, determined to intercept the coalition before it could ravage the English interior and choose its own ground on its own terms. By late summer, both armies had taken position. Neither sought terms. Neither believed a negotiated outcome was on offer. What was about to happen would answer the question of England once and for all. The collision was not like thunder. It was something worse: the grinding, suffocating crash of 20,000 men driving into 20,000 more. Shields cracked, iron rang on iron. Every warrior's world collapsed to the few feet of ground directly surrounding him. The coalition struck first. Olaf's Dublin Vikings, eager and impatient, surged at the English left ahead of the Scottish center. Axes raised, battle cries cutting through the morning air. The English line buckled, but refused to break. Mail-clad household troops locked shields, thrust spears over the rims, and held every foot of ground, because yielding it meant catastrophe. In the center, Constantine's Scots advanced in tighter, more disciplined formation until the 2 shield walls met with a crack that rolled across the open moorland. For a long moment, neither side moved at all. Shields grinding against shields, men in the front rank unable to breathe properly, held in place by the weight of thousands behind them. Then the killing deepened, spears thrusting over rims, axes hooking shields down to expose throats. men in the second and third ranks leaning their full weight forward, grinding the line back one bloody inch at a time. Hours passed, the sun climbed toward midday. Neither army broke, but slowly, like ice cracking under pressure, the coalition began to fracture. On the right, Olaf's Vikings had spent their finest men in those relentless charges and had nothing to show for it. Their attacks were becoming hesitant. On the coalition's left, Edmund was pressing Owain's Britons with increasing force, threatening to turn their flank entirely. Athelstan saw it. He saw the hesitation on the Viking right, the slow retreat of the Scottish center, his brother's wing driving the Britons backward. He understood that if the coalition was allowed to disengage and regroup, the battle would have to be fought all over again tomorrow. He raised his sword and gave the order his warriors had waited hours to hear. Forward, the English line surged, not a cautious step, but a sudden violent charge. The Vikings disintegrated, caught between the English left and Edmund's flank. The Scottish shield wall shattered. The rout began. The English did not chase the broken coalition far into the darkening north. They were exhausted, bloodied, and had no appetite for a night pursuit through unfamiliar country. They had what they came for. As the sun descended, Æthelstan walked among his wounded and his dead, moving steadily across a field strewn with thousands of men from every nation on the island. Scots, Vikings, and Britons mingled together in death as they had been in alliance, their weapons shattered, their banners face down in the mud. Edmund found him near the center of the field. The young prince was covered in blood, most of it not his own. Neither man spoke. Nothing needed saying. They had survived a battle that could have ended everything their grandfather had built, and had not merely survived it. They had destroyed the force that came to undo them. By morning, the survivors of the coalition were miles away, running for Scotland, running for the coast, and ships back to Dublin. They left behind not only their dead, but the conviction that had driven them south, that England could still be fractured, reversed, or broken apart. Æthelstan stood on that ruined ground and understood what had been settled. His kingdom, assembled from peoples with every reason to distrust one another, had held together under the worst pressure ever brought against it. They had not fought for gold or for conquest. They had fought for England, and England had endured. When the sun rose over Brunanburh the following morning, it rose over a realm that would not fall again. The coalition was finished. The Vikings would never again mount a serious challenge for English soil. The Scots withdrew behind their borders for a generation. The age of England had arrived, forged in a single autumn day, paid for in rivers of blood, secured by one king's refusal to yield. The banners turned south, the dead remained, and the field of Brunanburh fell silent, its location lost to time, known only to the birds overhead, and to the quiet certainty that here, a nation had been born in fire, and would not die easily.